So one of my biggest criticisms of Spider-Man as a game, the 2018 and Miles Morales game, is not anything that has to do with the game. As much as I will have maybe a few things that I don't feel are the biggest of innovations or whatever it is, I still think Marvel Spider-Man, the video game, and Miles Morales are really decent games. Very good games, actually. More than decent. What am I talking about? Even though I wouldn't agree that they're better than the Arkham games by any means or any way necessary, because if we broke it down to mechanics and all kinds of stuff, even the story of Batman Arkham City, Arkham still has enough hands to still slap this game, no doubt. Now, that aside, nonetheless, the biggest critique I have for this game is the way Sony is handling it and the way that it is actually being used as some kind of an exclusive leverage, because to me, I think it's a waste. Now, I think this waste is going to be, at some point, eventually managed properly. That's one thing about big corporations. They usually find ways to optimize and do waste management in a sense, and, maybe take it from an economic and a fiscal perspective, and you'll probably get what it is that I'm saying. Now, if you're actually hedged into this, platform, I don't know what it is, loyalty, you're probably not going to be able to take this video seriously. You're going to say, well, this is not going to be possible. This is supposed to be this and that. But you got to understand that once the dollar signs start to flash, it really does change a whole lot of stuff. And so we're going to look at this whole conversation from that dollar sign flashy perspective, because I strongly believe that with this dollar sign flashy perspective comes the changes that some of us maybe wish to see from an ideological perspective, and then some of us expect to see from the way the numbers actually do flow. Now, what are these particular, elements that I'm talking about? Well, let's go ahead and look at some data. Now, the data points that we're seeing here is that Marvel Spider-Man actually has become August's highest third selling game based on the NPD Group's data. IGN tweeted here and said, NPD Group revealed that Marvel Spider-Man jumped from the 84th best-selling game of July 2022 to the third best-selling game of August 2022 in the US, owing this massive sales spike to its PC release on August 12th. Now, for those of you who don't necessarily know the way the NPD Group works, they get a bunch of this data. Nobody really knows how they get their data, but a lot of their data is based on sales, different proxies. You can get hands on some of the data, but I think they probably have a lot of different means and methodologies, maybe different groups that they subscribe to that's able to give them sales data and all of that they can aggregate and give good and solid numbers out there. In fact, in 2018, I made a video that I titled Spider-Man Should Come to PC. Now, I've shown that video to some of you. I have it unlisted. I made it on my other channel. And the reason I actually thought that was the case was because of data that this group shared. The data that they shared was that the PC market was actually growing at an unprecedented pace. In fact, a lot of gamers were moving to the PC platform in 2016. And so by the time Marvel Spider-Man came out, the PC platform had actually grown in terms of new owners and new gamers on that platform by billions of dollars. That is, the hardware sales had grown by billions of dollars, therefore meaning that the PC base, which was already big, had grown much bigger than both console bases. And so it made sense when Marvel Spider-Man was coming out, and I thought this, and I said, there has to be some movement from Sony to at least move this game to the PC platform to leverage that. And behold, just like that, after so many years of waiting, I eventually made some more videos on this channel. And I was called crazy. Some people told me that it was never going to happen. And then, behold, it came. Now, they waited 5 years for this to happen. And I can guarantee you that if this move had been made even, earlier, that these numbers would have probably been way better. Like what we're seeing right now is just a very small slice of everything so far. And so that's where I think the waste is, because they are wasting possible resources, possible gains, and possible fan development in a sense that they could leverage by expanding where they actually have these games play on, the Spider-Man games. I've made the video and I've said, Xbox seems to be a valid place to actually send these games to, because there are Xbox consoles out there with possible millions more copies of this game to be sold. Now, the only way you're going to see this game go on Xbox is when the competition continues to get tightened and much more stringent, because it will eventually happen. Insomniac can only make so many games, and eventually there are going to be a lot more superhero games that are going to start to get to this quality, and going to start to get more attention. And then Spider-Man is not going to have the exclusive attention that it does have right now. And you're eventually going to see the market move. So let's go ahead and look at the article, because I want to be much more detailed in this video. So I don't know if you have time. Thank you for watching. If not, feel free, to maybe move on to something else. Now, if you go ahead and look at this IGN article, it pretty much goes ahead and cites even the other games that were released this year. And so it says Madden NFL 2023 and Saints Row were the top 2 best-selling games in the US in August. I know there are all these criticisms against Saints Row, but I think a lot of people bought the hype and bought the game and didn't, they knew what to expect, but for some reason, they were saying, oh, Saints Row sucks and all that. Which shouldn't be a surprise, as they both debuted last month. Plus, there weren't really many other games that came out in August as well. My third best-selling game is one you might not immediately expect, given that it's 4 years old, Marvel Spider-Man. Spider-Man also did well in August because they finally got a PC release via Steam on the 12th. It's a remastered version, including all the prior DLC. Given that it's the first time it's been released on something other than Sony's hardware, this proved an enticing pickup for many, and continued release of more Steam Decks probably didn't hurt either. It was enough to propel Spider-Man from number 48 on the NPD charts in July to number 3 for August, above both Elden Ring and Multiversus. According to NPD analyst Matt Piscatella, Spider-Man was also the month's best-selling game across all track Steam titles, and was a key reason for the total market's PC content segment is up year over year, and was a key reason why, the total market's PC content segment is up year over year. This is also possibly for gamers hoping Sony might deliver more exclusives onto PC at some point in the future. No need to hope, PC players. Y'all are the master race. What are you talking about? They're going to bring it to y'all. What is this nonsense talk? Sony's PC ports have been strong performers, Piscatella says. Looking at some recent history, God of War jumped from 146th on the December 21st chart to number 5 in January 2022 with the launch of PC version, while Days Gone also had a big spike with its PC release, climbing to 20 on the May 2021 charts after ranking 247 in April of that year. PC has been a fantastic platform for Sony, not only in sales of the PC releases themselves, but also in how these releases have a positive halo effect on the properties involved. Wins all around, really. Now, here's the big deal. What data point are we seeing from the Xbox side that may move or push this movement of the Spider-Man game to the Xbox platform? Because they're already on Windows. They're already on this Microsoft thing going right now. They're already on Steam with their exclusives and also on Epic Games. So what is the next frontier? The next frontier is the Xbox platform. And I think right now the market is getting so tough for Sony to maintain the dominance that it did last year. The data points would actually have to move to that direction in order for us to be able to see these changes. Now, this data point that I'm telling you about is the sales of the current Xbox Series consoles. A few months ago, I talked about how the Xbox Series consoles were somewhere around maybe 10 million as a whole. This is the data that was actually gathered. But believe it or not, that data is starting to shift, and not just shift in a small sense, but significantly. Just recently, the updated stats show that Xbox units are now 15 million units. I strongly believe, and this was in March of 2022, I strongly believe that by March of next year, this number would have reached about 20 million units. Now, you might say it's a drop in the bucket compared to what the PlayStation 5 consoles have sold, but that's not the point. That's a no-brainer. The PlayStation consoles were always going to sell very well. The question is Sony going to leave a potential 20 million copies, let's just say 20%, right? A potential few million copies of this game that could be sold initially, and then over time, let's just move it up to maybe even 40% of their Spider-Man games. Are they going to leave that on the table? To what end and to what benefit? Right now, it's no longer a matter of you buying a console that is superior in a sense, because if we're going that route, we know that both consoles are actually matched very well. In terms of value, we know that Microsoft is providing an entry-level console that anyone can actually pick up. They want to get into next gen and they don't have all the resources to say they want to buy maybe a PlayStation 5. They can make their way into the, Xbox Series S side first, and then eventually start going on from there. So even though the Marvel Spider-Man game that's coming in the near future and even the Wolverine game are supposed to be PS5 exclusives, that is just a label. I think they're going to have much closer releases to PC. Let's just use that as some kind of a metric and say, okay, let's see how long it actually takes these games to come out on PC. If it takes up to the same 4-year cycle, then it means Sony is probably going to have lost a lot by then. But I think we're looking more like a 2-year cycle right now because the competition is getting much more strict. And so this is what I think that Sony has to do to basically take care of their waste management. The exclusivity war is absolutely over. There's no need for that anymore if they want to make more profits. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon. Peace out.